So we have no idea what coalition is going to take place, but we do know who lost their job, and the list is rather glorious.
Yes, it is. Mr. Shut Up himself has lost his job. Yep, there's Bekele. He lost his job. And in response, Ian Cameron got a job. So I suppose the Garden Boy got fired and the Bassi got a job. I don't know.
I mean, Bekele did say that Ian Cameron called him a Garden Boy, which isn't true. But for Bekele, I mean, it's difficult to be fired from a job because he didn't do anything. Like, what's he fired from? A job implied that he did something. But for Bekele, he did fuck all as per usual. So Bekele is out of a job. The next person out of a job is Thulas Nxesi. You know, the guy who always looks really high and who hates whites and wants to be all over the place? Yeah, the Minister of Labour. That guy is also out of a job.
Yes, so the Minister of Unemployment is, he's definitely out of a job. And he was very famous for once having gone to Parliament during the BE Amendment Act and said, don't know why you DA guys, you white racists are provoking me. You're going to make me be more extreme with my policy because you're just provoking me and talking down to me. Yeah, he's fired. So what does that mean? I suppose unemployment might actually, decrease because they don't have a whole minister in charge of creating more of it.
Absolutely correct. And on to other good news. So Pravin Gordhan's not out of a job. Apparently he has retired. I mean, his last work is done. He has destroyed our budget. He has destroyed our state-owned enterprises. He has destroyed SAA. He's destroyed the credibility of this country. Now that everything has been destroyed, he can now retire in peace with I don't know how many millions of rands in pension money for his work. I mean, it's a crime that he is just retired and not in jail.
Yeah, so if you look at Pravin's massive, big contributions to the economy, so we had Eskom. I say had because it don't really work that well, and he's obviously responsible for one, killing it, and B, number two, privatizing the hell out of it. The second thing is we had SAA, which was state-owned enterprise that went bust, and he killed the hell out of it, and then he privatized it. But even that he fucked up, and now it's back in the hands of the state because the privatization thing screwed up. Then we have Transnet. We privatized that because that's now going to some foreign company who needs to fix some of our ports because they don't work. Yes, as Minister of Destroying Public-Owned Enterprises, he did a fantastic job. He definitely destroyed all of them.
Well done, Mr. Pravin Gordhan. And on to the next communist, Indian communist, Ibrahim Patel. He's also out of a job. Apparently he has retired. And also, the Minister of Trade and Industry has managed to destroy all our trade and all of our industry. This is the same person who destroyed our trade agreement with most of Europe. And as for our industry, remember those like two huge factories that were, I think, in the Eastern Cape and in the Western Cape. One to produce vaccines, which didn't produce a single vaccine, and the other one to produce cell phones, which didn't produce a single cell phone. Ibrahim Patel did those. So well done, Ibrahim. Have a good retirement. Hopefully you can buy open-toed shoes and hot chicken now because you didn't want us to do it while you were around.
No, so Ibrahim Patel is a special degree of evil because obviously you may recall that he used a significant amount of state funding to provide facilities for those two black industrialists, one of which was Chinese who lived in America. But anyway, that's a different conversation for another day. But yes, Ramon, you are 100% correct. So we had this massive, huge, big manufacturing plant. It was great because we would finally get some jobs in PE. And they never got one order. Not one, not even from themselves. They continued to buy vaccines from abroad. So we didn't even buy from ourselves. And yeah, they closed the factory down. After billions, and you may recall, Ramaphosa even went to go open it. I mean, it was such a big event. But yeah, they closed it because they didn't get one whole order. It never created one vaccine. And yes, we also got the cell phone manufacturer, which would be like, wow, we could have our own, Ubuntu cell phone, and never made any. Even though we had record facilities and a lot of money going into creating this place. Now, if you know anything about cell phone manufacture, you know that the place has to be sterile and it has to be really clean and everything has to be state of the art. It can't just be a sweatshop in the middle of nowhere. Still didn't make one cell phone, mate. Never sold one. So, yes. Now, if you cast your mind back, Ramon, you may recall that Patel came into power because his big thing was he was going to improve the textiles industry. he came from that and trade unions. He said as minister, he would like make sure that we were like the textile kings of the world. We don't have a textile industry, mate. It's pretty much dead thanks to Patel. So, yes, another communist who destroyed the very thing he said he was going to improve. Well, the job of making people unemployed, tick, done.
Yeah, shock and horror. Communist plans does the opposite of what the plan is meant to do. Very, very strange. Next out of a job is Naledi Pandor. So Naledi Pandor, I'm not too sure, but have you ever seen her feet? I know it's a horrible image, but let's just say if my life was as full as her shoes, I would have a wonderful life. But I think it's all the Jewish hatred that goes straight to her cankles and into her shoes, because essentially what she has done is weaponize her own faith against Israel for the past 2 years. She really has made us a pariah around the world and basically has shat on the Christian nation that is South Africa, which I think also hurt the ANC in the election. So good riddance to her as well, I suppose.
Yeah, you see, she is a very interesting individual because actually as Minister of Foreign pissing people off, she actually did a very good job. Occasionally she did piss people off, and occasionally she actually also came across as very knowledgeable and very, very good at her job. So it's kind of like one of those 50-50 things. Sometimes she was great, sometimes she wasn't. But the biggest problem that you did have with her is that she was married to an Islamic gentleman, and that did mean she converted to Islam very young in her faith, and she was also very devout in her faith. So as a devout Muslim in South Africa, she did appeal or attempted to appeal to the Muslim demographic, which is like 1%, right? I mean, it's less than that. The majority of South Africa considers itself to be Christian. And that became very problematic when it came to her approaches to nations that were typically, well, Christian, because she didn't like him. So her main two things were obviously that she liked the Russians, which didn't do us a lot of help, and she liked the Iranians, which is why she took Israel to the ICJ when we've got no food and electricity. Yeah, you know what would actually be really good if we had an actual foreign minister who their job was to bring investment into South Africa.
Yeah, imagine that. A foreign minister who actually cares about the foreign interests of South Africa. You know, a wild thought. Maybe we'll have one day. And then someone else who's without a job, someone called Lindiwe Zulu. I want to know that she's got like blonde highlights and she looked after like women and like children and stuff like that. Like no one really cares. And the last one without a job is Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, the one who said people's all and you can't have cigarettes because coronavirus and like all the crazy stuff. She's also out of a job. So, in essence, Byron, a lot of evil, ugly, filthy communists are out of a job. And to me, that's a good news story.